today's stage, and the segment that we'll be talking this afternoon in is from the author's zone. And it's my pleasure to have you here. You want to say hi? Are you ready to go?
Yes, it's a pleasure being here as well. Good evening, everybody out there. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And, looking forward to a wonderful show.
All right. I was just profiling my copy of the book on our webcam here so that everybody could know that I have my book. I read it in its entirety and I'm ready to go. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere.
Stop it, Daddy. Daddy, stop it now. I'm going to tell on you, you know. Oh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Ooh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? You're supposed to be my father. Every day I wonder why my daddy had to be the one to take away my innocence. Oh, sometimes I wanna die. It feels like no one cares for me, and it's evident that something must be wrong with me. I'm not as happy as I seem to be. The long showers I take don't wash away the memories. Why do I have to face these tragedies? We go through struggles in life on my way, but to have my daddy touching me, that's just not fair. Stop him from destroying my future.
Yes, I welcome you back, Monique Doran. Welcome once again to From the Author's Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, please call someone and tell them that I have a very intriguing interview this evening. And the book had me a little broken, I must admit. And it's her story. Monique Doran, I'd like you to share a little bit about where you're from, and after that we'll be going into our discussion.
Okay. Well, my name is Monique Doran, and I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. I was raised in pretty much what everyone would consider a normal family. My mother migrated to the States. We were left 6 years.
Hello, Monique.
Yes, are you hearing me?
You just went right down a while ago, very low.
Okay, are you hearing me now?
Much better, yes.
My apologies. Yes, I was saying I grew up in what was considered a pretty normal home. Sister, my mother came to the States to seek a better life. And my father, who was a cop, we were naturally left in his care. And life was pretty good and normal up until around the age of 7, where I was confronted by my father that he was molesting me, and from there things and life as I knew it started to take a different turn, one that I never imagined.
Yes. As I said, I read the book and it really touched me, and I'm sure it must have been very painful for you to recount every single detail, at least detail that would be pertinent for your reader, because I'm sure there may be some things that you couldn't put in there, but you tried to capture as much as you could. And I have to say, you did a great job, and I loved it because I finally got a chance, not my first time, but certainly to read a very candid piece from someone else's story, such as yours, Monique Doran. May I ask, who is this book for?
Well, this book is, first of all, the book is for everybody, because I think it is my belief that rape and the culture of rape and molestation and incest, it doesn't just affect victims or survivors. It's everybody, because everybody has a part to play in it, whether they realize or not. So the book really is for everybody. It's for the nosy neighbor that's seeing something but afraid to say anything. It's for the mother who thinks that because she's reliant upon this, partner for survival, she'd rather sacrifice her child. It's for church people who see every bad in that child that just needs an outlet but doesn't know how to get it out there, and not asking the person, what may be happening. But most of all, it's for that survivor, that person that's been through it all. And when I say survivor, you don't have to just have been molested or raped or anything of that fashion. Surviving, whatever it is you're surviving. This book is about the art, the very nature of surviving, and understanding that it's never too late until you say it's too late.
That's right. Now, there are certain people in the book who they were there for you, the people who cared. Would you like to talk a little bit about them?
Well, yes. When there were teachers who, regardless of whatever behaviors I was displaying as a result of, my what I was going through at home, they still saw that light in me, I guess one could say. And so no matter how horrible I seemed to the average person, they always tried to tell me, to just keep my chin up. There were others also who really wanted to help, but, such as my neighbors or, a young man that I was associated with at the time. And, they would have loved to have helped or have done something, but because of the nature of how the politics of things are, especially because my father was a police and because of the ranking he held, made it almost impossible for them to have done anything, even though they would have loved to do that. So, to them I say a big thank you.
Yes. Now, I know that you, in your story, you looked forward to leaving home to take the trips overseas to be with your mom. And Monique, I'm not lying. The book had me when I was through with it. I'm like, can one person endure so many things? Because the statistics, have been rising. And no matter how persons like yourself come forward and share their story, and they encourage people to be on the lookout, or if the perpetrator is the one closest to them or the one who is being targeted, you might encourage them to say, go talk to somebody, go talk to somebody. But I realize that for you, it started to unravel in terms of your behavior. You want to share a little bit about that?
Well, yes. I've always been known as a pretty mild-mannered. I'm very helpful, and so with what was happening, my behavior started to change, and I just got very angry because having no outlets, having this happen and having no outlets, nobody to really speak with, it really got too much, especially for a child to bear. I wasn't supposed to be thinking about those things at the time, and so trying to play the role of an adult, and not even in the sense of from a good place, but in a defense mechanism, made it even harder. And so screaming out for attention, I would just do everything. I didn't even care if it was fighting somebody to get suspended. At least somebody would say something to me. Somebody would make me feel. I needed to feel, And so whether it was good or bad, getting suspended or hitting someone and hurting them, at least I was feeling something that I chose as opposed to what was being forced upon me. And so, yes, my behavior spun out of control. I started thinking promiscuously, not from a sense of enjoyment or to be crude, but from a sense of I had to do this thing, otherwise it would have been done to me. And so I became like a loose cannon, I suppose one would say.
Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining me, welcome to the segment from the Author's Zone. Monique Doran, she's sharing her story of survival. The title of her book, Daddy, Don't Touch Me There. And I tell you, it's a must read, a must read. It also revealed to your readers, Monique, that there is indeed another side to society, whether it's our own Jamaican society or societies across the world, that there is a cliche. People see, they don't say. They brush it under the rug. Nobody wants to face it. Observations are made every day. But somehow people just don't want to come out. The only time perhaps somebody might come out is if it's an open, blatant act and there are several people. It's almost like a chorus where people just see and they start to talk. But in your case, you actually mentioned it to someone who was in your household. Now, we're not going to give our audience the story in its entirety, but it just goes to show you that no matter how close, someone can know firsthand, you know what I mean, in your situation, and they don't go and report or anything.
Yes, as you said, we won't give the callers too much information.
No.
But the person that was supposed to protect me as my mother would, it was the hardest thing, knowing that myself as a child, I knew that behavior could not have been proper. It should not have been condoned, and to know that I am looking towards this person to say, hey, help me, rescue me, and nothing was being done. It just shows you, it shows you the manipulation of the manipulative skills of my father. One, it shows you how corrupt the system is, where a person who knows better and should be doing better can be fearful even for their own life because of understanding. As I said, my dad was a cop, and knowing that the police is always going to look out for the police.
Yes.
So the person was in a tight space, but still finding it hard to make it excusable because, you're supposed to be protecting this person, and here you're not. It's almost as if you're condoning it. So it was a very hard, it was literally being between a rock and a hard place for me with that person.
And, I want to talk about forgiveness and healing. Forgiveness and healing, because that is also a very prominent theme in your book, which is why you're able to write and to share your story. But can you please give our audience a little step by step as to how you got to this place?
Well, I think that's the most important part of it all, the forgiveness, getting to the place. First of all, the first part of it, to say, you know what, I forgive myself for even being mad at myself for thinking even for a second that I did anything wrong. Because what happens when persons who are supposed to protect you, when they don't do that, you start questioning yourself and saying, well, maybe it's something I did and that's why everybody's mad at me. You know what I'm saying? And so the biggest part of it was to say, you know what, it's okay, I didn't do anything wrong. This person violated me. They were not supposed to do things that they did, and there's no fault on my part. That's the first part. The second part is to truly understand, get to the place where you know that you are literally no longer that person anymore, in literal and physical terms. Now, if you can wrap your mind around that, it makes it, well, for me, it made it that much a little bit easier to say, well, you know what, if this person no longer exists, then maybe, just maybe, I can also let go of that pain. Maybe that pain could also no longer exist. I'm not saying it's a walk in the park, but I'm saying it's possible. You have to get to a place where you confront the people that have hurt you and let them know, listen, you were supposed to do this thing and you did this other thing, and it really damaged me. And I need you to understand that it's affected my life, and even if you can't do it physically to the person, because that person may have passed on and gone, but to speak the words and say it, as if the person were there, like, you did this to me, and I'm no longer going to allow you to rob me of any future joy, because we have to understand that when these people do this thing, they're living quite comfortably because they fulfilled something that they wanted to do that would bring them joy. And so if something that horrible is giving them joy, then they're taking joy away from you. They know this and they don't care. So you have to get to a point where you understand that when you forgive them, you're not forgiving them for them. You're doing it so that you're not walking around with the burden, so that you are open to love again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that you are able to be healed and be free. And as I said, it's not an overnight journey, because the hardest thing to do is to get to that place and say, let me really analyze it. It's hard to even visit that place again. So to analyze it all over again, I mean, I won't tell you that it's easy, but I'll tell you that it's necessary. And once you do this, I mean, you open yourself to love, you open yourself to freedom, joy, and you begin to live again, you know?
I know that the journey was a traumatic one for you. You had a younger sister, and you were being big sister to her, trying to protect her. But
Yeah.
what was the process like actually penning this book?
Um, this is, wow. Going through actually putting these words, well, first of all, I had to do it because no matter what business ventures I would take, there'd be, I guess you could call it the law of karma, or I don't know, the
Right.
law of fulfillment or something.
Yes.
But all the business ventures I tried to undertake, they would just fail. And it would always take me back to 13, 14-year-old Monique that was sitting under that ackee tree.
tree.
And I kept remembering the promise I made. And I kept hearing a voice saying, nothing is going to be successful until you keep your promise. Your promise is what's going to take you out of what you're going through. So I had to do it. Now, actually sitting down to do it, one can only imagine that I had to relive, recant,
Yes.
and go back to that place and be in that room and smell the smells and hear the sounds. And I can tell you, it's not easy, but beyond writing the book for others, it was necessary for me because there were embedded things that you think you were over and you didn't even realize how much they were affecting your life until you see it on paper and you're like, oh, that's why I do why I do that thing that I
Yes.
do. And so it wasn't an easy journey, but it was a necessary journey. And so much came from it, and if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't change a thing.
That's right, my dear. I would like you to do a read. Do you have your book close to you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was outside. I'm at my sister's house.
Oh,
and
that's
I,
fine. So do you mind if I do a read for you?
I don't mind.
Okay, so I am going to read. Let me tell you where I'm going to take you from. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to get the book, but we'll go into the promo segment of it. We'll get into the promo segment of it closer to the end of the interview. I'm going to read Chapter 7. Our departure date arrived shortly after school had let out. Summer of '99 was finally here, and I just knew it had brought my deliverance. When we arrived at the airport, he performed his routine threats, the routine stare down, and the old gun clutching. My reaction, however, was anything but the same old routine. Fear was no longer a factor. For the first time, I truly gave zero, little duckling, and I can't use that bomb word there, as to what he would do to me. And the dry, hard, cold stare I gave him said that loud and clear. I sashayed away feeling confident, giving thanks that I had been given the chance to make it off the island before he took the opportunity to force himself inside of me. Even worse, to live with his blood on my shoulder. Coming up with scenarios of me breaking the news to my mother were the only images I could visualize. Would she grab and hug me, console and comfort, or would she knock the life out of me, convinced I was telling a lie? Would she leave the country and kill him with her own hands? Would she get him arrested? Would she even be shocked at all? It so happened that the client she took care of decided to vacation at their Jersey Beach house that summer. This meant that her son, who had accompanied us, would be spending more time with his dearest mother, meaning I would have more time alone with my own. It was a beautiful big house sitting just off the shore of the beach. There was a cozy little patio out the back that my mother loved to sit and watch the water, not being a fan of being in the water. One evening, as we sat on the deck enjoying the hot Jersey sun, the perfect moment presented itself when they informed us they were going for a walk down the boardwalk. My mother, only being comfortable in her own culture, told them to go ahead without her. When they extended the invitation to my sister and me, I seized the moment to be alone with my mom. I told baby sis to bring me something after politely asking to stay at the house. And I'll end there. That should tell everybody what happens next, right, Monique?
Yes, that's
Yes,
correct.
I love that chapter, but you should know that this chapter that got me, and your readers perhaps have would have to shake their heads and say, "Oh my God!" But we would like persons to really get their copy. How can they get a copy of the book?
Okay, so the book is available on Amazon.com. It's available worldwide. The price of it in the United States is the ebook version is $4.99, and you get that immediately once you download. I remember everybody that has Kindle knows how that works, and you don't have to have a Kindle to read it. Any smartphone, any tablet, as long as you have a screen and an Amazon account, you're good to go.
Right.
Also, the paperback is available on there, and that's $9.99. I try to price it reasonable because I know what it feels like to want to read a good book and just,
Can't
life
afford
happens.
it.
Yeah.
I know.
So,
All right. And finally, we're wrapping up. Have you been doing any motivational talks or speeches?
well, I actually, when I wrote that book, I actually went to Florida to heal my body up because if you noticed in the book, I won't give too much away. I
No.
went through so much, and that's for another call because the emotional effects of what I went through had caused a physical strain on my body. And so it was in that moment of healing that I really decided to buckle and write the book. So I just relocated back to Philadelphia, and I very, very much recently got into my new home. So I'm looking now to really get out there, get this book out there because it needs to be spoken of.
Yes.
We're starting a movement called No More Dirty Rugs. And it's just, we need to stop this social mentality of sweep it under the rug. That's not cool anymore. That's not going to be acceptable anymore. Whether you're a little boy, girl, man, woman, if you've been violated, it was wrong. And it's time to take our voices back.
That's
So
right.
with that being said, I am looking forward. I do have some upcoming events that are being scheduled in the moment. I'm not quite certain on the dates yet or confirmed.
Yes.
But as they go, persons can come to my Facebook, Monique, the author, Doran, and that's on Facebook. And I'll keep persons up to date if they would like to follow and come out to events. As well, I'm in Philadelphia, as I said, so if they want books, I make deliveries, and I'll also be in New York soon. So I'll stay in contact with you, and then together we can get that out there. And I'm more than willing to meet persons at certain locations, and we can really get this movement going.
All right. Daddy Don't Touch Me There takes you through unstable political systems, which exposes thousands of children each year to predators, protected by corrupted law, and shows how one little girl found the strength to overcome her adversaries, truly leaving the victim behind, choosing to live as a true survivor. Congratulations on your book and your healing. And I tell you, healing is a day to day process. And the more you will be sharing your story, the more you will be motivating other people. Believe me, you will unfold into a beautiful flower, which you have, by the way. You're a beautiful young woman. And
Thank you very
all
much.
of that stress is not showing at this point. So we have to say, you're in a very blessed place at this time in your life. Thank you, Monique Doran, for joining me on From the Author Zone this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to please purchase a copy of her book. Once again, thank you, Monique, and blessings to you. And once you are going to be staging any of your motivational talks and speeches, please reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Lady D. You have a wonderful evening, and thank you, listeners, for calling in and listening and just supporting the show. I really wish you peace, blessing, love, eternal, infinite blessings.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
You too.
Ooh, Daddy, don't touch me there. I'm gonna tell on you one day, I swear. Can't you see I'm scared? Supposed to be my father. Every day I wonder why my daddy had to be the one to take away my innocence. Oh, sometimes I wanna die. It feels like no one cares for me, and it's evident that something must be wrong with me. I'm not as happy as I seem to be. The long showers I take don't wash away the